Hey, this is Richie here with Rougen TCG. Welcome to my first official video. Today, I'll be analyzing the first few cards that I've created and explaining why they are like they are. These cards are uncut, meaning you'll see them all stuck together. This is just to make them easier to photocopy, and it shouldn't obstruct the text in any way. With that in mind, let's look at the first archetype that I've ever created. The Knight archetype. Knight cards are high health, low attack creatures that are designed to stall your opponent until you meet your actual official win condition. By themselves, they work just fine. The first card we're going to be looking at today is Stoic Knight, a 3 attack, 4 damage creature with a common rarity and the Knight archetype. Very simple card, nothing really to say. Doesn't take too much strategy, but not something you'd get mad at to see in a pack. Next up, we have Sage Knight, which is a knight that gains +1 attack for every defense that this loses. It only has 1 attack and 6 defense, meaning that a lot of strategy will have to be played to know when to actually attack with this card or risk not losing any health. Next up, we have Silent Knight. This creature has 1 attack and 5 defense, with the effect this creature takes no damage when it attacks. I've emboldened the it because I figured it was the most important part. See, provided this card doesn't attack at all, it's much worse than Sage Knight and Stoic Knight. But if it itself attacks, then it has the ability to deal basically free damage onto the board. So if there's only 1 health on the remaining creature of your opponent, then you can immediately and quickly take over the entire board with just Silent Knight. That being said, a lot of strategy must be incorporated to play this card. Moving swiftly forward, we have the Stoic Knight. This creature has 1 attack and 9 health, with the effect that this creature must be attacked first. Now you might be thinking, Richie, this card is strictly better than Sage Knight. That is incorrect, because the effect is a blessing and a curse. This card must be attacked first, meaning any and all damage that your opponent can deal will be dealt to this creature, which is why giving it 3 extra health, as opposed to giving it +1 attack for every damage that it takes, is a pretty fair trade-off. That being said, is this card weaker than Sage Knight? No, I don't necessarily think so. I think that it allows you to set up plenty of combos for your Silent Knight, especially, and also for your Stoic Knight, because your Stoic Knight can avoid taking its damage with its low 4 health. Moving on, we have our first rare card of the game, this being Sorcerer Knight, with the effect, the next turn, you may play 2 non-creature cards in your draw. Normally, you would only be allowed to play 1 card. However, because it is 2 non-creature cards and you have Sorcerer Knight on the field, it will allow you to play 2 rather than 1. Only 2/3 stats mean that it's not going to get the best attack on the field. It will likely be outvalued by your opponent next turn, so you have to hope that your next turn is twice as good as their turn to accommodate for the lack of strength that Sorcerer Knight is bringing onto the field. This is all very complicated things, but just know that Sorcerer Knight requires a lot of strategy and a lot of thinking. It is not strictly worse or strictly better than any other card. Moving on, we have our first legendary of the game. His name is Stein Obside. He is a legendary with only 4 attack and 3 health. Now I know what you're thinking. Richie, you said that all of the knights have higher health than they do attack. That's correct. If you'll read Stein Obside's effect, it is swap the attack and defense of every creature in your deck, field, and grave. This would mean that Stein Obside would be the only knight in your entire game that would have more attack than defense. You might be wondering, why would you want that? This is a finishing move card. You might think, why would I ever want to play a 1/9 at the end of the game? Well, say it was a 9 attack, 1 defense minion, or a 6 attack, 1 defense minion, or a 5 attack minion that does not reciprocate damage. These cards become much better after the effect of Stein Obside, which is why it is a legendary. Moving on to our next card, we have Steinholt's Castle. You know, this guy. Of course you gotta have somewhere to live. Steinholt's Castle has the effect, place on your side of the field. Give other creatures +1 defense, or +2 defense if they are a knight. This is the first non-creature card created, meaning that if you were using it with the effect of Sorcerer's Knight, you would be able to play it plus a second non-creature card. Is this effect good? I believe that it is very good if you are a knight deck, and not very good if you are not a knight deck. This card must be played very strategically when you're outside of Knight decks, where just one defense point can mean the entire game. Whereas with a Knight deck, it's much more safe to play because adding +2 health to every single creature for the rest of the game can be very, very impressive. Next up we have the Legendary Blade. Place this card under a creature. Give it +2 attack, +3 defense. If that creature is graved, return this card to your deck. As you can see, the effect has been smeared a little bit because of the colors, but that's okay because it's still very much legible. Why would you want this card inside of a Knight deck? Well, it allows you to add a lot more health to your creatures. You would want to do that if you've already played Stein, Halt, Obside. So, in essence, this card is a late game card, hence why it comes back into your deck. You can play it in the early game, but it won't do you much good. If you've already got board control, it's very wise to wait your turn, just keep playing Knights until eventually you're able to overpower the board, switch to your Stein, Halt, Obside, and then you'll be able to play your +2, +3. Not gaining very much attack, but gaining +3 health can be major. Take, for example, with Stoic Knight. That would turn him from a 3-4 to a 5-6, or if you have Stein Halt in your deck, that can turn him into a 6-5, which can be a very heavy damage dealer and could very well be lethal for your opponent. Moving on, we have Scarecrow Night, the final card that I have available for you today. It is a common card with 3 attack and 3 health. It's another Knight, and at the start of each of your turns, gain +1 defense. This card can be very, very good or very, very bad. It all depends on how long your opponent lets it grow. Say your opponent allows it to live for 2 turns. It's a 3-5. You use Stein, Halt, Upside, it is now a 5-4. You can see where I'm going with this. It basically improves itself the more that you allow it to play. Playing this behind a Stoic Knight can mean a lot of good things. And playing it with just a little bit of extra power with the Legendary Blade can very much help you keep it on board. Steinholt's Castle will definitely help this card. Making sure that it's alive by playing Silent Knight will definitely help with this card. The archetype is designed to work around each other. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it. If you like content like Rougen TCG, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and comment below your favorite card. This has been Richie with Rougen TCG, signing off. Goodbye.